Welcome to another episode of Connect. This is your weekly talk show where we integrate the Word of God with real life issues that affect your life on a daily basis. We are glad that you're tuned in through Parky Radio and those who are watching us online. Remember, you can interact with us on this session through the comment section or by using the email address that is provided so that we can receive your feedback, we can receive your comments, questions, and even topics that you would like to see on this program. Remember to invite someone to subscribe, share with a friend, share with others this content and this program so that they can also be blessed and be impacted by the ministry that we release through Connect. Today we have Coach Kiriba. And when we have the coach in the house, you know that we are talking about your financial health. And it is very important. Welcome to the show once again, my brother.
Thank you.
Coach Kiriba.
Thank you.
We are in a very interesting season in our country. There is an animal that we are trying to slay, to understand, to really comprehend. It's called the finance bill. And that is the season in which we find ourselves in our country, in our context, Kenya. And just to simplify it, what is this finance bill? Because today I feel like we will be talking about a certain finance bill. Within our own, in our own homes and houses.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Pastor Kiniti, and thank you for inviting me for today and to speak about our personal finance bill.
Sure.
The finance bill is simply the budget. It is a national budget. So many people have been hearing the finance bill. What is it about? It's basically a budget of how the government is planning to mobilize finances or its income through taxes, and that's why you're hearing about all these kind of taxes and how they're planning to spend it. So it's simply the budget 2023-2024 for the government. And that speaks now to the conversation of today.
Yes.
We are making a lot of conversations. I wanted to use the word noise.
Okay. No,
but
it's okay.
we're talking about the government is planning how they will spend the taxes for the year, their income for the whole year. We have tasked the parliament to look through the budget and the executive to now look at how they will spend. But ourselves, do we prepare a finance bill? Do we take it for a conversation with, if it's your partner, it's your wife, or whoever? Do you sit down and plan? Or do you call yourself, me, myself, and I, and look through that plan and look at where is the money coming from? How am I planning to spend it?
So somebody who is wondering, what is all this noise about finance bill? We were used to the budget before the 2010 Constitution was promulgated.
Yes.
Initially, we used to talk about the budget, and we always had the minister with this briefcase, and it was at a big day.
Yes.
The reading of the budget. Then come the 2010 Constitution, that transformed, I think, into the finance bill that now has to go through many other steps, additional steps to what the budget was. So basically, the finance bill is about the budget.
Yes.
And so as we talk about government and everything, then we are inviting our viewers and listeners to take some time to walk a journey with us on issues, or rather the whole topic around budget. And so really, why should we have a budget? I have my income, it is my money. This money, I earn it so that I can spend it on my expenses, so that I can do life with it. Nobody should be asking me about my money. So I receive and I spend, and then wait for the next time when I will receive and spend. Now, if a finance bill, a budget, is such a big deal for the country, should it be a big deal for the individual? And especially for us as Christians.
A budget is simply a plan of where your incomes are coming from and how you plan to expend them. It is a plan of how you'll be sustained between your paycheck and the next one. How do you plan to spend from day 1 to day 30 if you're paid on a monthly basis? And the reason why you need to plan with a budget is because some people, their salaries are exhausted in the first week. Some is actually within 3 days. So it is for you to sit down and look at, with how much I have, what are the priorities, and to help you to know, where do I put my money? So simply a budget is a plan, or rather it is a tool that will allow you to have control over your money rather than money having control over you. Because when we do not plan, then money has control over us, because you'll be going somewhere, I need to buy this, and within a very short time, again, the scarcity of money now tells you you are in debt, you have not paid your rent, or there are school fees that were supposed to be paid, or there is an emergency that has happened. Now you lose control of your money, and money takes control of you, because you now go to borrow, you now go to look for other sources of money, because you did not plan with what you had. So why the budget? Because it will give you control over where you want your money to go. And when you have control over where your money wants to go, then you have control over your life.
You know, Jesus talking about the cost of being a disciple in Luke chapter 14, verse 28. This is what he says. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Will he not first sit down and estimate? That's a common word. Some common words in budgets. Budget estimates.
Yes.
All right. So he says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Will he not first sit down and estimate the cost to see if he has enough money to complete it? For if he lays the foundation and is not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule him, saying, this fellow began to build and was not able to finish. And I think this passage is speaking to us, talking about, of course, Jesus here is talking about, considering the cost of being a disciple. And he's just saying, you don't just wake up and say, I'm following Jesus. Saying, he's reminding his disciples there is a cost to it. But he is using terminologies around what we are talking about. He's using terminologies around budgeting. And I think one of the things that you have put very clearly for us is just simplifying that a budget is a plan. And it helps you then to know how to order your priorities as far as your financial management is concerned. I think that's what I'm getting. Does it seem to rhyme with what Jesus is saying? So that, for example, your tower here could be the month, could be the year, could be a quarter, could be, as you're saying, one paycheck to another. Maybe you're in business. Your life is ordered by, let's say, tenders. You get a tender here, so between this tender and the next one, how do you live financially and live healthy in a responsible way?
Yeah.
That is where the plan comes in. Exactly.
And a budget is simply to help you to live within your means. It is to ensure that your expenses do not exceed your income. So you're able to ensure that the income that I earn, for the period that this income will sustain me for the whole month, on a daily basis, I will be well sustained. I'll pay my housing needs, whether it's a rent or it's a mortgage you're servicing. I'll have food for the whole month. I will have transport to facilitate me to my workplace and back. I'll be able to take care of all utilities that I need. And at the same time, I'm able to work toward a certain goal that I have. Is it to own a home? Is it to buy a vehicle or whatever asset you need? That budget that you do on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, on a quarterly basis should be guided by, this is the income I have, which guides, these are the expenses and the priorities of what to spend. Living within my means.
Okay. I was looking at this, that same passage, and Jesus is saying, will he not first sit down? Will he not first sit down? And, there is a sense in which when money shows up, we are on the move.
We don't sit down.
So the question is, when should I budget? Because and especially now that there is so much that we can do on, online, for example, with your phone. So money hits the bank and you actually get to know that I have received money.
Yes.
And the next thing is pay bills. At what point should I first sit down? And then somebody else will also argue, should I sit down every month? Why can't I sit down in January? And once I do the January one, run with it till December.
You said it right. When money comes in, you're on the move.
Yes.
So plan before it comes. It can be a week to your month starting. Be able to sit down and assess my expenses. And you're able to assess those expenses. First, just track them and look back. How was my last month? Or how do I spend on a monthly basis? This is a portion of my rent or my mortgage. This is a portion of my food for the whole month and groceries. This is a portion of transport and communication. This is a portion for utilities, gas, subscriptions, or whatever you have. This is a portion for my school fees. You're able to sit down. Of course, it may not vary as much, but month to month it might vary. And that's why you said, can't I plan just for the whole year? Every month they will be having a bit of variations depending on circumstances that are happening. You might find that your income has been a bit stretched. In this season, you're saying that you expect once this finance bill for the government goes through, there might be a little pain on your paycheck. It might decrease by some 3-4%. So that in decreasing that, it means there is a pinch on you somewhere. You might have more income because God has provided and there is another passive income that has come in, or there is a promotion, your salary has increased. Then be able to readjust your incomes, or priorities might have come in. You are blessed with a new family member, or you might be having some commitments. Let's say it's a health issue. You are going back to school. So these priorities will keep on coming and changing, and for you to reprioritize. You might also notice that I've not been working towards my goals, or I've been living one day at a time, and yet you are called to work towards a certain goal. Readjust. So that's the importance of working in a budget on every month, being able to see, I have received this income. These are the priorities that I have in terms of my expenditures, my need, my wants, but also my savings plan or a financial goal that I have. You're able to break them down and to know, are they well aligned? Are my priorities going well? Am I working towards my financial freedom as I do this budget on a monthly basis? Because every person's goal is to be financially free. And by that, I don't mean that you can sleep and just marry. What I mean is that you're able to work towards priorities that will help you to live a better life in a more comfortable way in such life.
Again, when I look at the scripture here, again, many people think that budgeting is really planning how to spend. You've just talked about financial goals, financial freedom.
Exactly.
And in this passage it says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. So the goal really is building the tower. It's not just spending. It's not just spending.
Yes.
And so I think even as we talk about a budget, at some point I know we will be saying a budget should be helping you
towards a certain goal.
Yes.
Towards a certain goal. And so as you adjust it, as you readjust it, as you review it, it's not simply for purposes of spending. It is more to ask yourself every other time, how closer am I
To this goal.
to completing the tower that I am building?
I'm sure you're speaking to a lot of people. To the viewer and the listeners, because the truth is, I am a financial coach and I speak to people. Those who don't have a budget, let's start from there. They don't work towards a certain financial goal. Or they might just be random, but they will always be getting lost here and there. But they will not be working towards a specific goal. Those who have a budget also, they have decided that a budget, there's those who have a budget and the budget has been guiding their expenditures. But you said it right. The sole purpose or the number one purpose of a budget is to work towards your goal. Whatever that goal is it to be in your own home? Is it to travel all over the world, enjoy? Is it to better the life of your family? Is it to take your children to better school, to afford a better environment? So there are specific goals that you have, and the budget should be working towards.
Exactly. And so I think in a few minutes time, we could be looking at what are some of the steps that then any person, they don't have to be financial experts. And by the way, even talking about financial experts, I think the fact that you handle money and all of us handle money every other day, we should be developing our financial expertise in a way, because this we do on a daily basis. And it doesn't necessarily mean taking an MBA, but I think some life skills that can help you, because on a daily basis, we are making financial decisions every day.
Exactly.
At whatever level. Whether you have $1 or you have $1 million, you are making financial decisions
Every day.
Every day.
Every moment.
And the decisions you make on your $1 can determine whether tomorrow you will be a $2 person.
Exactly.
And the decisions you make on your $1 million today can determine tomorrow whether you will be a $2 million or you will be a $1.
That's true.
You know, because of financial decisions that we make. And so looking at what are some of those steps that then we can help our listeners and viewers to start thinking about in terms of crafting and developing a budget.
Thank you. Precisely, the process of working towards a budget, first you have to look at assessing your income, because it guides on your expenditures. It guides on how you can be able to sit down and count your cost. So start with assessing your incomes. How much do I earn? Where are my sources of income? And on a monthly basis or on my budget cycle, what incomes do I expect to receive? Many of us might be salaried. So it's basically a very simple process of knowing this is my income. I'm paid 100,000, I'm paid 50,000. Now this is my income. Some might be having several sources of income. It can be a salary, a passive income from a business that you're running as a side hustle. It might be some dividends or interest you earn from somewhere. And you're able to plan towards that and know, this is my salary. This is my passive income. And with these two, I can be able to sit down and now take it to the next step of, based on my income, can I prepare a budget of how I plan to spend? Or with this income, and now sit down again, and now step number 2 is now to track my expenditure. Of course, every other month, whether you're an individual, you are a family, you're able to sit down and assess your expenditures again. I pay this amount of rent, I spend this amount of money on transport and communication. These are my utility bills, electricity, gas, This is my communication, whether I have whatever expense, you're able to sit down and look at on a monthly basis, what do I spend? And you're able to outline them line by line by line and to see these are my expenditures. And then from there, you're able to put a number to each. This is my rent. This is my transport. This is my communication. This is my entertainment budget. And out of all this is how much I spend. You're able to see this expenditure versus my income. Do they match? Based on that, you're able to prioritize on your needs and on your wants.
And interestingly, this passage goes on to say, after sitting down, he's supposed to estimate the cost and see if he has enough money to complete the task. So meaning, on one hand, there is enough money, which I presume to be the income or the resources that you have at hand.
Yes.
And on the other hand is the cost of what you would like to do.
Yeah.
And then, so the expenditure, a bit of it. But it goes on to say, if, for example, he doesn't do that fast and instead chooses to go ahead and lay the foundation, then somewhere along the way runs out of resources.
Yeah.
People come to ridicule. People will come and say, this guy, every other time somebody is passing past that project, they will just be shaking their heads and say, this guy started something
And he didn't finish.
and he did not even finish. But the point is, I don't think it means that if, for example, he found out that he had less money or resources compared to the cost of the tower, I don't think it necessarily means that that is the end of the ambition or the pursuit of this goal of building the tower. I think now the budget now comes in to what you are talking about, now prioritizing.
Exactly.
So that at the end of the day, this person can even come up with phases that will eventually lead to the building of the tower. As resources come in, they are prioritized and prudently spent. At some point, we get to this goal of building a tower. So how do you then prioritize so that you are still able to focus on the goal at the end of the day?
I like that scripture because it says there is a goal.
There is a goal,
There
yes.
is a goal.
Yes.
The goal is not to spend whatever is coming. It's not an expense of how will I survive for the month. It is about what is your goal that you have. My goal is probably to build my home. And the truth is, you don't build your home in 1 month. It is a journey. It's a journey of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You can define it. And in every month, you sit down and know, this is my journey of reaching that goal that I have. So as I sit down and look at the income I have, and I have been able to assess my expenditures, I'll be able, number one of my expenditures, and let me call it expenditure, though it's not necessarily as an expenditure, it's that contribution to the goal that you're working towards. Many people will have different models. 20% is a saving, 80% is what you spend, and of that 80% you can break it down into 50-30. So there's a 50-30-20 principle. That's a personal principle, and various people have. But others will go into 60, 20-20. But the recommended is make sure 20% of your incomes, you pay yourself first. There's a conversation we had before,
Yes.
that when you have your income, pay yourself
Pay
first,
yourself.
then pay your bills. Pay yourself first, minimum should be worked towards 20%. Paying yourself first is now where we talk about the goal that I have. I pay myself first with my 20%, then the remaining 80% of my income I'm able to break down according to the priorities. My priority can be 1, food, shelter, and clothing. I have a housing, whether it's rent or I'm paying. 2, there is food in my home. Number 3, there is clear expenditure of my, it can be insurance of health. The other expenditure is utilities on a monthly basis. So break down your expenses also of that 80% you're talking about into the needs. Those are essential that you must have, and the wants. So that's basically a general perspective. But as I said, assess your income. How much do I earn? Number two, these are my expenditures. Number one, pay yourself first. Minimum 20% can go to 30%. Then the 80% you're able to break them down into the needs and the wants. Prioritize on your needs. What are the minimum needs that you must have? I must have a house to sleep. I must have food for my family. I must have these essential utilities that I might have. Then the rest you can put on wants. But as I said, number one, pay yourself first, then pay your bills. And you can be able to play around paying your bills, but to ensure that the essentials are there, and then the non-essentials, which are the ones, are also considered, but ensure you don't, out of that budget, it doesn't exceed your income.
Wow, that has been exciting. I hope you have learned something that you can take home in terms of living within a budget. So I invite you to consider what the scripture says. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Will he not first sit down? And I want to invite you to sit down, have a financial goal, and what our coach has told us today, plan around your income and start seeing yourself on a journey that will get you to a certain desired destination. In the next episode, we will be unpacking this further, so stay tuned. Remember, subscribe, invite someone to watch and get this information. Connect with us through the contacts below. And therefore, until next time, God bless you.